Before I forget the term, hypothetification was the term that I was trying to talk about with the BRICS and the gold currency, and India putting a hold on it. Turkey was one of the first that had an announcement of some kind of nationally recognized project that would hypothecate into some type of digital coin, a certain amount, certain bores of gold that was held by some bullion bank in Turkey. Not sure exactly how that fell apart or whatever the deal is, but I just thought that was very interesting that it went down like that. That such an idea was floated, and so now it's like that people keep floating this idea, and there will be a reaction as far as various economists, market analysts, and such like on what this could mean. Then there's people who have also informed me that a lot of those channels, there's a certain number of them that they're kind of being paid to say certain or to have a certain angle. It's that or that it fundamentally benefits them to have a certain angle on the idea of a gold-backed some form of hypothetification regime for gold holdings, a gold bourse, or a precious metal bourse at the national level, or some type of national institution that engages in such a thing. And so there's just some channels that it kind of would help them if that would happen. And I get that. I'm like, okay, no, I can understand that. People have their interests, So my thoughts about it, though, really are like, no, it's coming. It has to. And it really is, because at some point there has to be fundamentally a form of price discovery. We're at the stage that we're long past having no form of price discovery. And a big part of it is, as everyone will point out, once you actually see price discovery for a lot of these stocks and various forms of debt that we run are the basis of our economy, that once we see the true value of those, that's when we start seeing various nations and various institutions start trying to separate themselves or have a way of trading in a number of national currencies or some form of digital coin currencies, various things like that. Because also there could be things of that you have something that would represent, like, say in EVE Online, you have a plex, you have ISK, but so much ISK equals one plex. And that the way there's certain things you can and can't do with plex versus ISK. And it has to do with trading it into a national currency, and because then you'd get away with all kinds of shenanigans with online, it would be online gambling and stuff like that, and fraud and this, that, and the other. So that was what I was thinking. These are some of the thoughts that were going on with the gold coin, this, that, and the other. Now, I started thinking through something that I'm starting to see it enough, just enough talk that it was this thing of like, it just clicked. I'm like, yeah, that's probably the next stage that we're going to see in the quote-unquote culture war, especially the whole idea of like the parents versus the teachers, that the teachers are trying to enlighten the children on on the glories of two men sucking each other's cocks in a book in there, a required reading. Where somebody like me, where I went through the Catholic school system's life science course and all that I was years ahead of the public school kids when I went to public high school, because it was so comprehensive, and that it also put me ahead in biology class as well, and I ended up in AP Bio. So one of the things that I started thinking about with it was because there's already now the finding of fact. Everyone's figuring out this whole thing of the discovery process, the finding of fact, getting stuff absolutely on the record. So a lot of people on the right need to start getting like gender theory and queer theory were pioneered and developed by these people, and they just need to have this down to 2 sentences, because then at least you could say this is the source for this. What do we now? How valid is this information? Who are these sources? Where do they get their information from? Things like that, because otherwise they have no real grounds. They have nothing. There's all this that they can't really say. There's it's like, oh, okay, they don't like it. It just becomes they don't like it. But if it's what it is, they're like, oh no, this person who developed with spurious scientific research, and then on top of it, they were this kind of well-known bad person in one way or another, this, that, or the other, and or they had they weren't really a researcher in the biological field. Then so such finding of fact and getting things on the record, they end up being able to then get into this idea of, well, no, this is mostly a type of social political theory, or sets of social political theories founded on scant evidence, poorly done research, a lot of political activism, a lot of, oddly enough, political violence by the people who espouse these views. They're consistently violent, and commit political violence and threaten people and all kinds of things like that. And it's pretty consistent. But that then it's been turned for some strange reason into a biological and medical theory. And the two, there's no place where these two actually meet in some form of clinical data. This is all still very much theory, and that we're just sort of experimenting on boys mostly because, well, really, that's just considered fine. I mean, that's obviously considered okay. And such taboos, like Brifolt put in The Mothers, such taboos are inherently something established by the females in the society. So it's really one of these things that a finding of fact is going to start more and more exposing. Well, most of this is crapola based on nothing, and it's not really science, and it's a bunch of kind of psychological and sociological battle that comes out of like the French Revolution, and by like really, and like a lot of things out of the French Revolution, the people who were really, really horrible to other people who are normal. And so it's it's just one of these things. I'm like, you start picking up on how the French Revolution was really one of sort of the worst things. It was sort of like America was like God's revolution, and then like the French Revolution was like the equivalent that the devil put together or something. I don't even know. But all right, later.